When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 of his disciples with these instructions.
Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: the Lord needs them, and he will send them immediately.
This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. The disciples went and did as Jesus has directed them. They brought a donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on him, and Jesus sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them out on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed were shouting, Hosanna to the Son of David!
Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest.
The crowd surged through Jerusalem for the celebration of Passover. The whole city was in turmoil. This was a high holy time, a time when something wonderful could happen in the lives of believers. They came offering sacrifices and prayers, bringing their hopes and their dreams, their burdens and their sorrows. All these were mingled together with the aromas of incense and sacrifice, smoke billowing toward heaven, toward God. So when Jesus entered Jerusalem, the people were wondering who this person was. Some said that he is the prophet. Some said he was a healer. Others said he was all this and much more. What about you? Who do you say he is?
Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Behold, the King comes. He comes riding on a donkey. Surely this is the Son of God. Hosanna in the highest.
I came here to the central part of the city to be part of the usual festivities that surround the preparations for Passover. Everything must be done correctly, but my heart just isn't in it. I can't seem to get the face or the words of Jesus out of my mind. There is something so different about him. He's like no other prophet we have ever known. A great teacher? Perhaps, but something more. He saw into my soul. He knew my longings and my burdens. Now he has come into Jerusalem. I saw him riding on a small donkey. People were waving palm branches and singing, "Behold, the King comes." The King? The King of this kingdom? I don't think so. His kingdom would be much larger. I don't know what's in store for him here. I do know that he is in great trouble with the temple hierarchy. They want to get rid of him. He threatens their authority, and what's more, he challenges their faith. He is a dangerous threat in their eyes.
So this is Jerusalem. I've never been here before, but I knew on that miraculous day that I spent with Jesus, when he told us of God's amazing love for us, I just knew I had to follow him here. I've been on the outskirts of the city at the Mount of Olives with some of his followers, and I've been listening to him speak in that soft, quiet tone. He is so calming. Today, he got on the back of a small donkey and he rode down the path into the city. I think that all of Jerusalem turned out to see him. They were stripping the palm fronds from the trees and waving them over their head, singing, Hosanna! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna! Some even took off their cloaks and they put them down on the path so that the donkey didn't trip or stumble. It was a miraculous sight. They are so fortunate here. He is the one. He is the Messiah, the anointed one, the one who comes to bring them the good news of peace. But I get the sense that there's something wrong here. Something just isn't right. I see the glances and I hear the whispers. I don't know, it's just not right. But maybe it's just my imagination. After all, I'm an outsider here. Maybe it's always like this at Passover.
The colors, they're unbelievable. People's plant shapes and forms, it's almost too much for me to take in. When Jesus healed me, gave me back my sight, I decided to become one of his followers. I'm nobody special. I'll never be one of the main disciples, but I'll always praise God for the gift he's given me through his son. Like the woman at the well, I too was on the hillside of Mount Olivet. I stood among the many who wanted to enter Jerusalem with Jesus. I've never seen the Golden City before now. I followed him down the road. He was astride a small donkey. People were waving palm branches and placing their cloaks in the road. It was overwhelming. "Here comes the king," they shouted. I agreed with them. He would be the one to rule my life. I decided to learn more about him and the good news he brought. But, some people here don't really seem to like him. They seem to be weary of him. I've even heard some whispers of ways of trying to get rid of him. But I can't be sure of that. Besides, there's so much to see, so much to do.
We decided to spend Passover in Jerusalem this year. Our house was ready for the holiday, but we wanted to be with Jesus. I thought maybe there was some way that I could help. I know how to fix food and make arrangements for accommodations and even work with vendors. I like to work in the background that way. But Lazarus, my brother, wanted to be part of the big group who went with Jesus from the Mount of Olives down to Jerusalem. He said it was going to be like a parade. And I'd just do anything for my brother. So we went. We followed Jesus along the path as he rode his donkey. And people were shouting his name and swarming around him and even waving their palm branches. And it was a parade. And I wondered if Jesus would be pleased. Everybody seemed to love him. But there was a look of sadness in his eyes, as if the burdens of all of these people were just heaped on his shoulders. This should have been a time of triumph, but it wasn't.
You can just imagine how exciting it was to ride down that path from Olivet to Jerusalem. People were shouting out to Jesus, celebrating his presence. It was a great parade. People were waving palm branches. Some were even throwing their cloaks down on the path before the donkey. I was so happy. I wanted to shout out to everyone who came to see Jesus. Blessed is he, here's the King, here's the Messiah. Some people seemed to know that, for I heard shouts of, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Well, the Lord entered on a donkey, and things will never be the same. The oppressors will be brought low. Peace will be restored to our nation and our people. We will be people whom God brought out of bondage. We will be people of light. Martha says something isn't right. And that's Martha. She always worries. Jesus will change things here. Just you wait.